Is Wes Streeting right to be cozying up to the US President and the Secretary of State for war? We're now joined by founder of Turn Left Media, Curtis Daly, and political strategist and consultant Thomas Corbett Dillon. Good evening, gentlemen. Curtis, I'll start with you. What do you think of it? Is the Defence Secretary right to cozy up to Donald Trump?
Alex, absolute pleasure to be with you. Hope you're okay. Is he right? I mean, look, obviously it's important to have good diplomatic relationships, right? And of course, we herald this special relationship with the US. The problem is, though, in my view, is for decades, and excuse my French, but the UK has been the bitch for the US. And I want to see our leaders stand up for Britain's interests. And sometimes Britain's interests do conflict with the US. I mean, you got Donald Trump slapping on tariffs left, right, and centre. So I think, by the way, I don't think there's a contradiction with what Andy Burnham was saying and what Wes Streeting was saying. I mean, Laura Kuenssberg asked Andy Burnham, would you publicly call out Donald Trump if you disagree? And he said yes. Now, would he actually do that is another question. And I think for far too long, we've been too scared to stand up to Trump. I mean, even Keir Starmer, for example, he spent the first 2 years groveling over Donald Trump. There's that famous picture where he's picking up his papers, and then Trump turned round and insulted him. I actually think, right, interestingly, that Donald Trump respects people who've got a backbone. If you think about Zohran Mamdani, right, Zohran Mamdani and Donald Trump politically are so far apart, yet Trump, he respects him. So I think that, and obviously with Zohran Mamdani, I think he's quite clear of his politics. So what I think is our British leaders should be having our British interests and work with the US when we need to work with them. But if Donald Trump, who in my mind is now just completely deranged, implements policies that are harmful to the UK, we shouldn't be cozying up to them. I mean, Trump has now announced a new set of tariffs.
Okay.
I think, go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to interrupt to give some Thomas some time, but I also have to apologise for the bad language. Sorry about that earlier on.
I thought it was post-watershed, apologies.
Yeah, no, sorry. Well, we always, our audience don't like bad language, so we always do apologise for it. But I'll pass over to you, Thomas. What do you think of what Curtis was saying there?
Well, look, I think this idea that we have an alternative option other than cozying up to the US is ridiculous. This is the largest, most powerful nation in the world. And, they are a great economic partner for the UK. Every single thing in your day-to-day lives is run through American companies. Look at everything you use on your phone from the device that you hold. These are American corporations. This is a great nation. And, it would be very stupid because I don't see an alternative. Who are they going to replace as the new special relation? Are we going to China? Well, they're not an ally. They're the worst, So I don't quite see it. And Europe, of course, have no innovation and no companies there. There's nothing to compete with the likes of Apple or OpenAI, any of these new future technology companies. The UK has been left behind. So yes, you're saying we're second dog. Do you expect us to be the top dog? We're a tiny little country. This is the greatest economy the world's ever seen. So absolutely we should be cozying up to them. He's got a lot of work to do, though, because, he's coming into this once again. Every single cabinet member seems to have had something bad to say about the president. So they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, Curtis, is it complex that the cabinet have, I think Thomas is right saying all of them at some point, including the Prime Minister, have trashed Donald Trump, have slammed him at some point in time. Is that difficult to manage that?
Oh, definitely, of course. And I don't know if, Trump himself might forget, but his team around him probably won't. They might pick out tweets from like 2, 3, 4 years ago saying, well, you criticised Donald Trump. And I think that just kind of shows the fragile nature of Trump. But that's besides the point. I think you are right. Yes, we are definitely interlinked when it comes to the economy, when it comes to services. But that tells me that we need to be more resilient. I mean, you're saying we're relying on US tech. That's a problem. AWS, our security services, are all outsourced to America. I mean, our deterrence.
What about bases as well, Curtis? Well, just to ask you, because one of the most recent developments is Andy Burnham allowing Donald Trump to and the United States to use bases here in Britain to bomb Iran. What do you think of that?
Well, again, I think that's a problem. I mean, of course, again, you need to have military alliances, but I think a lot of people, let's say people on my side of the water on the left who are suddenly sort of champion Andy Burnham. This is why you need to be careful, is because he's now saying, well, we can use our military bases for US war crimes. I mean, it's a legal war in Iran. We shouldn't be doing that. Look, I want to see more of a patriotic Britain in which we stand on our own 2 feet. I mean, wasn't that what Brexit was all about? Wasn't what the right-wing politicians all about? And now the same right-wing people are saying, well, actually, we've got to cozy up to America because we're so interlinked. I think, look, we should work with countries that serve us well, and we should call out countries that don't. And I want to go back to your point about how our technology is so interlinked, right? The problem is we don't have any of our own British firms that deal with our own technology, that deal with our security services. It's all outsourced to America. When it comes to our nuclear weapons, outsourced to America. That's not independent. That's not taking back control. Now, again, I'm not saying we become Little England and completely ignore America, but let's build some resilience. Let's build some resilience so we don't have to rely so much on the Americans. The problem is our political and economic system is all based on serving America, and no politician can do anything but grovel, and it's a bit embarrassing.
Let's pass that over to Thomas. What do you make of that?
Well, it's starting to sound like a bit of conservative over there. I think, it sounds like you're saying maybe we should cut some taxes and encourage corporations to start up in the UK. I think everyone can get in favor of that. You're right. We are very interlinked with the UK, but that's because of the government policies. It is not a smart situation to make a startup, a tech company, even an AI company in the UK, because, first of all, they're not giving you anything like what the Americans are giving you. There's not the base there. And they're taxing you to the hill. It's completely ridiculous. So I think, it's great to say all of that, but at the same time, the left are, saying we're going to do more foreign aid and we're going to have this unbelievably large welfare state. That is not helping anyone. That's not, helping innovation. So these whole arguments are just ridiculous. When you look over here, I live in DC. I look at DC, I look at the US. We are living in the golden age of the United States. And when I look back at the UK, all I see is the dark ages. Every single story that I come on this network about is just the most ridiculous. Like everyone, Alex, you could fix most of these issues in one day as Prime Minister. Why are we stuck in these awful situations in the UK that we just seem to not be able to fix? Whereas the US is exploding, the economy is massive. All the secretaries of state over here are extremely intelligent, businessmen on their own right. You've got Scott Bessent, who's a billionaire, has multiple employees. Howard Lutnick employs 30,000 people. You've got Bobby Kennedy making America healthy again. We have really smart people in this country, and the UK has got like Ed Miliband. Like, what are we doing? It drives me crazy. So I really don't know what's happening.
All right,
I agree. Let's cut foreign aid.
I'm sorry, Curtis. We've run out of time, unfortunately, gentlemen. Sorry, Curtis, we've run out of time. Thomas, no. I know, it's typical, unfortunately. But political strategist and consultant Thomas Corbett-Dillon and founder of Turn Left Media, Curtis Daly.